Are you struggling to conceive? You have options, and at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group, we'll make sure you have the guidance and support you need. PREG is known for individualized fertility care that's unique to every patient. We take the time to provide a reassuring and empowering experience because we believe that you deserve nothing less. Let us help you on your journey to parenthood. Visit us at pregonline.com to learn more. Get the guidance and support you need at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group.
Between aging and busy lifestyles, many women struggle with maintaining their physical and mental wellness. At Aquavita Concierge Healthcare Services for Women, we can help you revitalize your health and reclaim your life. We start from within by balancing your hormones, allowing your body to achieve and maintain desired weight goals. We also specialize in peptide therapies, regenerative medicine, sexual health, and aesthetics in our state-of-the-art facilities. Feel better, look better, live better at Aquavita. Visit aquavitality.com and begin your journey today.
Johnny Dollar.
Happy New Year, Johnny, and many of them, and may your shadow never grow less and all that sort of stuff.
And the same to you, cheerful Charlie.
Yeah, only it's Hal.
What?
Hal Kemper. You know, Eastern Liability and Trust.
Hal, how are you? What's a good word?
You made any plans for dragging in the new year in the usual fashion?
Oh, in my usual fashion, yes.
Well, now, what's that supposed to mean?
Well, it means that instead of getting myself hooked into some big, noisy, drunken party, and then risking my one and only life among all the crazy drivers who'll be seeing double because of the parties they've attended.
Hear, hear.
Instead of greeting 1962 with a hangover headache, I have other plans.
Oh, yes, I forgot.
Hmm?
That luscious little damsel you've been courting all these years, Betty Lewis.
Well, that's just the trouble, Hal.
Well, what's the deal, Johnny? Quiet little supper, just the two of you over at her place with a log crackling on the hearth and candles on the table, all that sort of stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry, Hal.
And at the stroke of midnight, a glass of sparkling champagne to match the sparkle of her lovely eyes. How am I doing? I guess right?
Not quite. Betty's not in Ohio, spending the holidays with her folks.
Oh, well, good.
What's good about it?
It means you have no plans. So, Johnny, I'll tell you what you do.
Sorry, Hal, but I'm going to be sensible, stay right here, have me a quiet little drink, listen to all the celebrations on the radio, get a good night's sleep, and start the new year cool, calm, and hope I can make a good one of it.
Well, now, before you settle down, Johnny, how's about coming over here to my house for a few minutes?
Hal, I'm sorry.
No, I want you to meet and talk to Dr. Albert Begley is all.
Dr. Begley, the heart man?
The heart man.
Why?
Because of something he's just told me about one of his patients, who happens to be an important client of ours, a wealthy old widow by the name of Mrs. Nancy Cunningham.
What about her?
You come on over here to the house and let Dr. Begley tell you.
Hal, on New Year's Eve? Look, I thought I got over the point that I'd rather stay out of a car tonight. Let's wait until sometime in 1962, like tomorrow, maybe.
Now, only one trouble, Johnny. If we do wait, if what Dr. Begley says is true, that nice little old lady might never live to see 1962.
Oh?
Yeah.
I'll be right over.
CBS Radio Network brings you Mandel Kramer in the exciting adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account. America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator,
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Eastern Liability and Trust Insurance Company, Home Office, Hartford, Connecticut. Following is an account of expenses incurred during my investigation of the one-too-many matter. Expense account item 1, $4.80 for a tank full of gas from my car. Then, for 2 solid miles, I had to duck and dodge a flock of the darn fool drivers who'd already started to celebrate, and far too many of them might end up on a slab in the morgue. When I got to Hal Kemper's house, I could see that he and his pretty wife, Doris, were planning the quiet kind of evening that I'd have been able to have had with Betty Lewis if she'd stayed in town. Hal immediately swung me into the den where Dr. Albert Begley was waiting. He was a short, stocky, gray-haired, clear-eyed man of about 60, I'd say, with that rare combination of gentleness, kindliness, and quiet efficiency that makes for a good family doctor.
Glad to know you, Mr. Dollar.
Dr. Begley?
And I'm particularly glad that Kemper here was able to get hold of you on short notice.
Well, what I'm glad about is that Johnny had no plans for tonight, so there's nothing to keep him from going right on over there.
Yeah. Now, just wait 1 minute. Go on over where? Have I walked myself into some kind of a trap that you two innocent-looking connivers have set for me?
Yes, I think that's just about it. But believe me, quite necessary.
Well, Happy New Year to me.
I hope it will be. Now, I believe Hal mentioned Mrs. Nancy Cunningham, too.
That's right, Doctor, he did.
Well, after Mr. Cunningham died, leaving her fairly well provided for, by the way.
So I understand.
Well, considering her heart condition, she did what I think was a very sensible thing. Moved into a little one-story, three-bedroom home that she can care for all by herself without any danger of overdoing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's over on the western edge of town, just north of Homestead Avenue. Now, here I've written down the address for you.
Doctor, you said a heart condition. Just how serious?
Mr. Dollar, yesterday I would have told you that Nancy Cunningham would live on for, 5, 6, 7, perhaps as many as 10 more happy years. But now, after what I learned from her this afternoon, well, I suggest that you go on over to see her right away.
Well, may I ask why, sir?
Well, because of 2 people who will arrive there sometime tonight. Presumably just to give her a little company during this holiday season.
Oh? And who are they?
Her only living relatives, 2 nephews, Donald Kingman and Walter Baird. They're the last of the line, Mr. Dollar, and therefore Mrs. Cunningham's heirs to both her estate and, I understand, a considerable amount of insurance.
Considerable is right, Johnny.
Now, I've telephoned Mrs. Cunningham that you're on your way, and she'll put you up there just as long as necessary.
Well, how long is that supposed to be?
As long as those 2 nephews are with her. After that, we'll see.
Well, now, Dr. Begley, just 1 minute.
Yes.
Do you mind telling me just why you've taken it for granted that I'll go along with this?
Not at all. You see, I am firmly convinced that one of those young men is going there for only one purpose.
And what's that?
To murder Mrs. Cunningham.
Doctor? You really believe that one of her own nephews is going to see her just to murder Mrs. Cunningham?
Mr. Dollar, I'm certain.
And before it's too late, Johnny.
What do you mean by that, Hal?
I mean, she called me just a few days ago. She told me that she's done all she wants to for them. She's going to change her policy to name some charity as principal beneficiary.
What charity?
Well, that's just the trouble. I don't know. Probably some clinic, hospital, or something. Anyhow, she